Hi, I'm Rocco Stano, and welcome to StoryMakers. Today, I have Richard Fairgray with us and his book, Black Sand Beach. Are you afraid of the... What's that? What's going on there?
So sorry, there's a lot of ghosts in my head, in my life, in my book. So I just have to get them out of there. It's fine. It's gone. He's friendly.
I guess they follow you around, and that's why you put them in your book.
Exactly. The easiest way to control spiritual beings is to put them into stories.
Ah, okay, I see. Tell me about Black Sand Beach.
Black Sand Beach is my new middle grade graphic novel series. It's loosely based on my childhood when I used to spend all my summers at a haunted lighthouse. And so it's about 4 kids named Dash, Lily, Eleanor, and Andy, who are fighting the forces of evil and darkness that are oozing into our world from this mysterious peninsula.
Did you say haunted lighthouse? You used to have a haunted lighthouse in your childhood?
Way back in the 70s, my father and my aunt built a house. And you know how when someone tells you, oh, it's just as good if you make it at home, like we don't need to go to McDonald's, we can make fries at home, and it's never good? That is the same when my family decided to build a house. So it was this rickety old shack on poles that would shake violently every time there was a cattle stampede under it. And we used to have to spend all our summers there, and it was so boring. There was one tiny black and white TV that only got one network. And you just had to do outdoor things, and I'm not big on outdoors. And to get there, you had to go through this huge canyon called Mosquito Gully, which is a terrifying place to go. And you just have to have the windows wound up because otherwise you will be swarmed. And at this beach house, about 8 miles along the beach, or 2 miles if you cut through the woods, which are much spookier, there was an old lighthouse. And it was the first lighthouse ever built in New Zealand, which is where I'm from. And it had never worked very well. So the light would come on and off at random times and just generally flicker and be useless. And so a lot of shipwrecks happened at the beach. And so the whole place was just super duper haunted. And also filled with shipwrecks that were really fun to climb inside.
Is Dash you?
The big difference between me and Dash is that I was so excited by this place being haunted. Keep in mind, the first time I ever walked into this lighthouse, I remember walking in, and then the next thing I know, I'm maybe 50 feet away from the lighthouse, lying in the grass, not saying anything. And apparently, according to my family who were there, they said that I walked in and I said, "There's too much death here," and walked out. And they kept yelling at me, and I wouldn't do anything. And then I just dropped onto the grass, and they freaked out. So it's a weird place, right? But so I was super excited to stay over the night there. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and this lighthouse that had been decommissioned 100 years ago, there was light coming from it. And so I climbed the stairs up to the room where all the mechanism is and everything. And I looked, and the light was shining out onto the ocean. And everywhere that the light was touching, you could see all the bodies of the shipwrecked sailors. And they were all crawling out of the ocean and up onto the rocks and onto the beach. And they were all screaming at me, "Why did you turn out the light?" Now, this does happen in Black Sand Beach. And Dash is terrified. Because Dash is not stupid like me. I was delighted. I ran downstairs and went straight outside to meet all my new ghost friends. And when I got out there, the light was off, the ghosts were gone. You could only see them from inside. So that was a huge disappointment to me. And I've been trying to become best friends with a ghost my whole life. And that was my first chance, and it didn't happen.
You are an illustrator, an artist by trade. And so how did that come about? Was that something you always wanted to do since you were a child?
I have what I like to call funny eye syndrome. I have this eye here. This is my good eye, and it can only see about 3% of what a normal eye can see. And then this other one here has just got no feeling at all. And so I can only see, I see the world in basically a flat surface all of the time. And so depth and size and shape don't really make a lot of sense to me. And so as a kid, I would just draw everything all of the time to kind of put it into a world that made sense for me to look at. And so ever since I was like maybe 2 or 3 years old, I've just been drawing hundreds of pictures every single day. And then I started making comics because I firmly believed that comics didn't exist, but that I'd heard about them in cartoons. And so I thought that if I could be the first person ever to actually make comic books again, I would probably make millions of dollars. And so when I was 7, I started making and publishing my first comics, and then I just kept doing that ever since. And I'm yet to make millions of dollars. But I did make enough to buy every single Ninja Turtle and every single Power Ranger figure when I was 7. So that was kind of cool.
Can you teach our viewers how to draw a monster?
I think I can, Rocco, but I think I'm going to need some help because I've drawn 247 million different monsters at this point, and so I'm kind of out of ideas for what monsters should have. So what I was thinking is I have this handy-dandy piece of paper and this marker, and you're going to describe a monster for me, and I'm going to draw it and then show everyone. How does that sound?
I don't have as many experiences as you do with the supernatural, but I will draw upon my viewing of monster movies from childhood for some inspiration. How about zombie-like eyes, sharp teeth, big claws, hair that is serpent-like, and a long spiky tail?
All right, I have got all of those things. If the key to drawing zombie-like eyes, their eye sockets have all withered away, all the skin has fallen away, and so the eye looks like it's bulging out. But what's grosser than an eye bulging out is when you put gray shadows on it, so it looks like it's all lumpy, so it's not like a big round eye anymore, and that way you know that this guy's been dead for a really long time. Plus, if you want to make the eyes look super sad, just put a bunch of lines underneath them so it's almost like they're sinking further in. Teeth can be really complicated to draw. You can do that whole thing where you draw like a real person's mouth with all the gums and the molars and the bicuspids and all the whatever teeth rules there are. But what I like to do is just make the teeth part of the skin. Make it as if this creature has evolved in such a way that like it doesn't even have time to put you in its mouth before it starts chewing you up. Like it's chewing you up while you're still partially outside of it. So instead of lips, I'm just gonna give him these gross, like sharp shape for his teeth. And that way you can also have space for his tongue to come out. I'm gonna do this big red tongue. What I'm going to do to try and make the monster look a little more cohesive is I'm going to make the claws feel like they're made of the same stuff as the teeth. So that then it's like, maybe he's biting you with his hand. Maybe when this monster comes up behind you and grabs you by the back of your neck, you don't know if it's his mouth or his claw that got you. We were going to give this guy like a real thin bony body to connect him to this long tail, because I think if he's got the tail, he's probably going to be using it to hang from trees and swing in and like just, or drop the tail down and grab you out of your bed or whatever. So he needs to have a thin body so we can sneak in under your door to do that. And also I want to show all of the lines of his bones and ribs so that we know he's really, really hungry. And then that way the tail can feel like a lot of little spikes. You know, like if you think of a dinosaur tail, they have those big spikes all on them, but like there's probably a bunch of other places you could grab on and just ride the dinosaur for fun. But if you give this guy like little spikes all over, it's just way grosser because there's no way, like if that tail hits you, you're done. So serpent-like hair. So we're talking like It's not going to be hair made of snakes. It's going to be hair that just kind of hangs like snakes do, like big, long, thick clumps. Don't even bother drawing every individual hair. That's exactly the kind of hair this monster has, and he has it running all the way down his back. You know that if this hair just brushed up against you, you'd just be left covered in slime. And there you have it, Rocco. You and I just created a real scary monster. And looking at this thing, I very well may put him in my book because he's given me the creeps.
As long as you don't name him Rocco. Okay, thank you.
I'll think about it.
Richard, I really don't know where to begin. You've given us so many stories. I wonder if they're all true, but I will take your word for it if you say they are. Yes, but thank you again for joining us. And the book is Black Sand Beach, Are You Afraid of the Light? We all know what the light is, yes. And remember, until next time, read a book in any format.